Hi, hi everyone. I'm not the most tech savvy, so if I mess up on that bit, please forgive me for it. But I'm just going to share my screen first, and then we can get started and have a little bit of a chat and introduction and all of that. So let me just try to do that. Um, One moment. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Okay, I'm
Yes.
just going to take that as a yes. Thank you.
Yes, we can.
Okay, so firstly, I just wanted to just continue from where Sabah left off and just say that basically our intent today is to help you understand what is meal planning, give you a little bit of context as to how you can do it really well. And I want to tell you why I'm doing this. So basically, I'm a nutritionist and I help people understand their bodies, and meal planning is a big part of nutrition. So that's why we're here. And Aishwarya helps me facilitate and organize this entire session because teaching is not my forte, nutrition is. So she's basically the brain behind why the session is going to be super interactive and actually help you understand what I'm trying to convey. So um, I'm just gonna, one second. Yeah. So as I was saying, I just want to like cover the agenda of what we're going to do today, and then we can kind of get started. So firstly, just wanted to say that we'll basically be giving you a little bit of context as to what exactly meal planning is, because I think there's a lot of definitions on the internet and a lot of people say very conflicting things about it and make it quite complicated, to be honest. So hopefully I can simplify that for you. And we're going to do a lot of activities to actually help you kind of not meal plan, but think about meal planning so that by the end of this session, you should hopefully be able to do it yourself, for your family or for yourself even. We'll also be kind of doing an example, how to say an example session, because I'll basically help you meal plan a chart out. And we'll go through some tips and questions and all of that jazz towards the end. Okay. Before we start though, wanted to establish some rules, not really rules, but a way to keep the session smooth for everyone joining in. Firstly, please ask as many questions as you want. I love it. Just type it out though, so that we can actually get to addressing everyone's queries without any blocks in the session. You can also raise your hand if you want to add anything or ask anything in the middle. And definitely, I always appreciate talking to faces rather than like little icons. So if you can switch on your video, if it's possible, I'd really like that. But yeah, so that's basically it. Shall we get started?
Yeah, so please keep your questions coming in the chat. And that way, if Poorvi says something that you are not sure about, you want to know how it applies to your life, just let us know. You don't have to worry about remembering it, and we can get to it later as well.
Okay, so first of all, I think this is I think it's the most important thing to understand, and that is what exactly meal planning is. Okay, so I think a lot of the time when you Google meal planning, you see like how to say these Pinterest boards. You see big boxes of like, I don't know, avocados and lettuce and all these exotic things, and we get a very Western centric approach of what it should be. But in practicality, I mean, living in India, I think a lot of us just want to eat normal food, but also want to have a little bit of control through the week. So what I wanted to convey is that meal planning doesn't have to be literally what you see on the internet, and it's not as hi-fi as it looks. When done right, it can really be a great way to help you organize your week and actually save lots of time, lots of money, and also absolutely help you smash your health goals. So like if you want to lose weight, you want to take care of a health condition, this is something that can really, really push you towards the direction that you want to go in, basically. Okay. Basically, I've seen, I mean, all the clients I work with really struggle with when they get hungry, they don't know what to eat. Because I mean, think about it, when you're starving, it's really difficult to make a good choice. Like for example, say you come home from a long day of work, and there's nothing in your fridge except probably some leftovers. It's very tempting to order in or just get something from outside because you're craving a nice hot meal. So this is, I think, most of the time why people go off their diets or why they're not able to maintain health is just because if you don't plan what you want to eat when you're hungry, then you're just going to end up ordering this and that and eating junk, and then later you feel bad about it, da da da. So I think it's really important to actually have a little bit of structure, but also keep it flexible side by side. So it doesn't have to be like a chart where you're like, oh my God, I have this next, this is my schedule next. And it doesn't have to be something that's very, very restrictive. But at the same time, it can also kind of help you structure a little bit. So it's kind of in between two spots of knowing what you have to eat. Sorry, is someone? Hello?
I think someone needs to mute their computer. It's okay, keep going.
Okay, anyway, I'm just gonna go on. Yeah, so it could be flexible, it could be delicious, and it could also give you legway for cravings and things if you do it right, like I'm gonna show you now. So I just wanted to give you some examples of things I've done so that when we actually get into the session, you'll get some ideas as to how meal prepping could work for you. Um, See, for example, I had this client, her name is, I think, what, Anu, and she basically works a night shift. Okay, so she has no time to cook, literally, because she comes home at maybe around 10 a.m. because her night shift starts at around, I think, 12ish. So by the time she's home, she's so exhausted, she sleeps, and then she wakes up in the evening and she has to go back to work. So what we did with her is we actually helped her meal prep in a way that she was not going to get bored easily, because we tend to get bored when we plan. And I realized that she really likes to eat Korean food. So instead of making her prep for Indian stuff, we started prepping and adding maybe 2 3 Korean meals every week, and she started learning to cook. So by making her chop her veggies in the weekend and stuff, she was actually cooking in under half an hour every single day, and she was taking food from home to work. And she managed to lose a ton of weight, her health issues got reversed. And I think it was largely to do just because she was meal planning very effectively. Um, I think another example that will kind of give you some ideas, like I have a lot of clients who travel a lot for work, like 4 hours, 5 hours a day, in the car. And it becomes really difficult to cook fresh meals every single time just because you don't have time to do it. And basically, this client of mine started cooking thrice a week, and she would put everything into dabbas and put it in the fridge. And it would be kind of half cooked in the sense that everything would be prepared. And then she'd just kind of put a tadka or just, stir it together, mix it together. And I think she's lost close to 5 or 6 kgs in the last 2 months just by doing this, by the way. And she still eats fried food, she still eats everything, she still eats out, but it's reduced considerably because of the meal planning. So um, I just want to give you some ideas as to how you can do that for yourself as well. Um, I think for me to really understand how to make this session useful for you, I want you to kind of tell me why you signed up, in the sense that what you're looking for at the end of this, or what you hope to take away, so that it can kind of give you a little. I can kind of tailor the session a little bit to address your doubts. So if you could take a minute and just type out why you signed up, or what you're hoping to take home from this, I'll really kind of help you with that through the session. I'll try to touch upon those points more. So I'm just going to give you all a minute to do that. Okay, I'm just looking through your questions now. Okay, simple meal and snack plans. Yes, I'm definitely going to help you with that. Oh gosh, leftover hunt in the fridge. Honestly, when you're starving, it's very difficult to keep your hands off like whatever junk food you have in the house. So I understand. Um, Lincia, I hate cooking too. Let me be honest with you. And believe me, you can still meal plan and save a lot of time if you hate cooking just like me. So I'll definitely help you with that.
Andrew is curious about how to make it work in a family environment.
Absolutely. I think most of us, at least I think most of the people I work with, live in groups of 4 or 6, like you live in a family. So I'll definitely help you to plan, to consider everyone's likes and dislikes and make sure that it's helpful for the whole family, not just for you.
Rishi is interested in how to not miss meals.
Yeah, we'll definitely work on that. Planning helps you with that, because if you know what you're going to eat, it becomes easier to actually eat, right? Instead of breaking your head when you're hungry.
Sudarshan is curious, how healthy is the junk we're ordering from outside on Swiggy and Zomato?
I mean, you've said it yourself. You called it junk, so I think you know the answer to that. But jokes aside, see the reason why restaurant food is really tasty is because it's got a lot of oil, a lot more oil than what you would use at home. Okay, not saying that you shouldn't eat it, but it's very difficult to stay healthy if you're going to eat it all the time, and you're also going to be spending a lot of money that you could be spending elsewhere just for your delivery service and surcharge. So I think in the best interest of your health, it's good not to order it so much.
So Pulkit says eating healthy shouldn't be boring and tasteless.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, if you're eating the same two things every other day, then 100% you're going to get bored. And I'll show you how you could kind of switch it up while still having some control on your health. So totally agree with you on that. I think the biggest reason we go to Swiggy and Zomato is because it's just house food is not tasty most of the time. So I just wanted to know a little bit more about some people's doubts. So is it okay if I call you out, and if you're comfortable, you could unmute yourself and explain it to me, because I think I want to pick up doubts that maybe more people would have. So let me just find, wait, I just found a really interesting one. Devapriya. Yeah. Hi, Devapriya, are you here? I really wanted to understand more about what you're saying, so that, because I think it does like apply to a lot of people. So if you could unmute yourself and explain a little bit, I'd really like that.
Okay, so hi Poorvi, I'm here. And
Hi.
love the way you're speaking. It's making the entire session more interesting. So really more power to you and to your
Glad
energy.
to hear that.
Yeah. So what happens with me is that I am in India and I have to deal with clients across the globe. So I'm talking to people from Switzerland and from China, Indonesia. So my time, I don't have any time. So I get up in the morning at 8 o'clock. So I just sit in front of the laptop. I have no time for breakfast. Maybe a cup of tea is what I'm having. Post that, again, I have another call and it goes on. And during lunchtime also, I have to deal with European clients because that's the time they wake up. And that way, my afternoon food, like lunch, is also getting pushed away. Now, maybe at 4 o'clock, I'm having my first proper meal of the day. And naturally, when I'm hungry, I tend to eat a lot. And rice is the staple food. So I tend to eat a lot of rice, maybe to curb, mute the hunger. And then when the work gets over, I tend to, find biscuits and all those chips and stuff like that, everything which is not right for me, but I have no option because I want to eat something nice. Again, at night, I eat something back to routine. And on weekends, because I've not been eating properly, there's always this tendency to, eat something nice to compensate for it. And then I'm eating all the wrong things. So, yeah.
So I get where you're coming from. I think a lot of people I work with, at least, do work with. They have to take calls at night at weird times. Here's where I think you'll find in the session later, when I actually run you through the meal plan, how you could do it for yourself. But to give you a gist which might help everyone, I think thinking about what you want to eat and then eating rarely works out, because if you're tired from work, it's very difficult to actually pick out the right meal. So if you kind of have an idea and you have things ready to eat, like for example, you have oats ready, or you have, I don't know, a poha ready, it's very easy to pick it up and eat it. So I would say cooking in the evening, kind of planning so that when you wake up in the morning, you're not ending up eating biscuits or, going to work hungry. That would really help you to kind of plan the whole week. And I hope that's relevant to a lot of people, because this is a really big query I get with my clients, at least, that how do you plan when you're too busy to cook, or how do you plan when your work timings are off and you don't know what the next day is going to look like. So when I actually run you through this, I think you'll get it, and we'll get into that next, so you'll understand. So 1 second, let me just, yeah. So this is probably going to be my favorite part. Sava is going to help me put you all into breakout rooms, and I want you to discuss these questions with each other, because this will really help you with the next activity that we're going to do, and it'll kind of set you up to actually go home and meal plan tonight. So if you do this sincerely, like, you're actually going to have half a meal plan ready already. So
the thing is, these questions look super simple, and they are, but we want you to step out of, like, Poorvi is going to give you all the answers and the magic bullet, to actually thinking about how this can work in your own life. So we want you to step back into your own lives, all the pains that, you know, happen when you get off your work and you enter your house and like there's 10 things that come on your head and you have no time to think about nutrition. We want you to get back in that mindset. And then from there, we're going to try to find solutions. So super simple questions, but at the same time, they're really valuable to answer. And we want to make sure that everyone gets heard. So please take less than a minute when it's your turn. We're going to put you in rooms with about 5 people each.
Yay! Okay. So I'm just gonna take you through a sample meal plan. Okay. Basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share a template with you at the end of this call so you can take it home and do it for yourself. But for now, I'm just going to show you how to use it because this could basically be your cheat sheet to meal plan for the rest of your life, hopefully. So basically, I'll fill it out for you in the sense that I've just made a random meal plan on the spot. I'm just going to help you make it as well so that you'll know how to make it for yourself. And while I'm doing this, try to think of what your answers may be based on those questions that we just answered. Try to see what parts of it you can direct to your life in the sense of what might apply to you. Okay, so basically we created this template keeping in mind that we want meal planning to be easy. So I actually made this keeping in mind what a lot of my clients tell me are their problems and things like that. So it looks pretty simple, but I'll show you quickly how it can be very, very customizable and how it can work to your advantage. Can everyone fairly see it, like the font and everything?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So firstly, when you look at this, I want you to always start with the top left part. Okay. So I'll just kind of take you through all the things that you'd want to answer, which is very, very important before you actually start because it'll set the context for you. Okay. So it's easy to think of random ideas of what to eat, but you'll end up wasting a lot of time unless you actually know what your budget is, who you're cooking for that week, whether you have any cravings that week. This column will really help to consolidate your meal planning and save you a ton of time later when you're actually thinking of recipes and thinking of things to do. Okay, so I strongly suggest that you start in the top left. Okay, and I've just filled this out randomly. So yeah, just so that you know how you could do it. So for example, say I have a family of 4 people, and someone in my family is actually diabetic. So I've actually put this example in to show you how, because I'd seen in the chat that some people are talking about living with elderly people, living with people with health issues. So I want to show you how you could make this in a way that it's suitable for everyone in the family. Okay. So, and say someone in the house doesn't like brinjal, but everyone else loves brinjal. Like, what do you do? So this is another thing that I thought would be kind of maybe helpful. I'm assuming your budget is $1,000, very arbitrary number, but I just put it in. And this is really important. I think these are the 2 questions that will actually save you the most amount of time and money. One is actually thinking about what you feel like eating that week that's indulgent or fancy or something different. This is something that will kind of that I would encourage you to try to learn to cook if you can. Okay, so I've put in Szechuan noodles. Say you feel like eating Szechuan noodles, instead of ordering it in, why not look for a recipe in the weekend so that in the coming week you might have a chance of actually making it if you plan it right. And also it's important to record if you're going to be going out that week. If you plan to have people over or if you're going out, then it makes no sense to prep for that meal. Okay, so that's another thing I want you to factor in. Second thing I want you to do is go over the pantry staples. What this could be is your rice, oil. These are the things that don't usually get spoiled and that you will usually have in your kitchen. But make sure that you have that checked out, because you don't want to be midweek and then realize the recipe needs, I don't know, sesame seeds, and then you don't have it. So then your recipe goes to the trash basically. So make sure that you've planned the staples, you've planned and checked your kitchen first instead of going and buying stuff and spending your money. First, check your kitchen, make a list of things that you don't have, which are essential to all cooking that you generally use. Okay, it could be your oils, it could be your rice, wheat, cereals, your proteins. Okay, and just fill that out. And now I'm just going to randomly fill these out for you. So what I would personally do is I would put all the breakfasts, all the lunches, and all the dinners individually, in the sense that I wouldn't fill them all together. I do it day by day. This is because you'll also get better ideas when you think this way. And it'll just help you plan the next day, because if you've seen what you're eating the day before, you can always plan to take leftovers from that, put it the next day, things like that. Okay, so this is a complete example. So since we said we're going out on Monday evening, you basically skip dinner, so you don't have to worry about that. And the rest of the day, I've just put in some random options which are fairly healthy, and that really depends on what you want to eat. And since a person's diabetic, I have tried to avoid things which they should not be eating. So basically, I've tried to avoid fried food, refined food, things like that in this meal plan. Okay. So then this is whatever day 2, I've put in dosa, chutney, roti, veggie dal. So what I would strongly suggest is try to see if you could take something from lunch and put it in dinner. If you live alone or you have a family who's not very fussy, just using the same meal twice can save you so much time. Like, for example, I hate cooking. So I usually just cook once and then I eat it twice. And it can be healthy as well. There's no compromise to your nutrition if you're actually doing it right, in the sense that the meal that you're picking is a balanced meal. For example, your veggie dal, you could very well eat it for lunch and dinner. If you feel like cooking something, please go ahead. And I've just filled out some more days for you. And as you can see, I've tried to put in repeats from the day before on the next day here and there. Also put in new options. And then there's the Szechuan noodles. So I strongly suggest that you try to cook one new thing every week. This will really kind of, firstly, if you live in a family, encourage your family to help you out. It'll be a great way to bond with your family. It'll give you more kitchen competency, which means it'll make you more confident in the kitchen. Thirdly, it'll be way healthier, even if it's deep fried, even if it's oil, even if it's maida. If you make it at home, you have control on how much you're putting. So it seems a bit tedious, but if you've actually planned it, you can find the quickest recipes on YouTube. There's even 20-minute recipes and 1-hour recipes. So strongly suggest you cook at least one new thing. So I've put in those Szechuan noodles there, okay? And yeah, that's basic. Oops, sorry. Okay. I've put in the rest of the week as well. Again, this is a very, very random sample plan, because again, you'll see later why I've put these things in. But I've really tried to bring things from the previous day into the next day. And I made sure to stick within the list of what we'd kind of thought about, which is how many people we're cooking for. Do people have any health issues that we need to factor in? And what is basically, what time are we eating out and things like that. Okay. So yeah, that's Monday to Saturday. I've put in everything. And at the end of which, this is the important part, which will save you the money. Make a shopping list. Okay. You either jot it on your phone, jot it on a piece of paper. Never go to a supermarket or never go to a market without a shopping list. That's where A, you end up buying junk, B, you end up wasting your money. Okay, so supermarkets are designed to make you spend more money, and it's your job to basically be a bit vigilant and make sure you actually buy things that you need for the house, which is why it's really important to do that first step of checking your pantry, making sure you're not buying random stuff which you already have. Okay. And always break it down category by category. So put your vegetables in one place, fruits in one place, your dairy in one place. If you eat meat, put the meat in one place. That way, when you actually go into the supermarket, you can finish your shopping in 20 minutes or less. And I mean, I can't count the queue and things like that, but actual shopping will be very, very quick for you. And you won't be breaking your head going into the shopping, into the mart and thinking what to do. Okay. And in case things are not looking fresh and stuff, you can always swap from the plan, but try to stick to it as much as possible. Okay. And this is like my big cheat sheet for you. I'm just going to give you some really quick tips while shopping and tips while prepping as well to save you some time. Okay. Firstly, I would say invest some amount of your budget into spice mixes. Okay. This could be different cuisines. If you like Mexican, if you like Japanese, if you want to try something exotic, this is an easy way to take local vegetables and make it into something exotic. Okay, so definitely if you want to spend money, spend it on good quality spice mixes. They last a long time and they can make any dish exciting, like even your dal, for example. I had a client who was sick last week, and then she got this East Asian like masala powder and she added it to her khichdi, and honestly she said it was smashing good, because it was just a new flavor for her with no effort, extra effort. So spice mixes are your friend. Second pro tip that I've seen helps a lot of my clients is changing up your cooking oil and changing up the grain that you're using. Okay. So for example, say you want to make pulao, and say pulao gets boring, but pulao is really easy to make, right? So you could actually just swap the rice with barley. You could swap the rice with couscous. You could swap the rice with quinoa. And this will give you a much different nutrient profile. It will give you a different taste profile. And definitely it will also add more variety to your food. Okay, so if you're a kind of person who gets bored, but you don't want to cook new things, I'd say try to use a different oil and a different grain than you normally would. Nutritionally, it's a good idea because you'll get a different nutrient profile than you usually get. Taste wise, obviously, it's going to taste different. So definitely swap up your grains. For example, if you're cooking wheat rotis every day, try to add a little bit of jowar, try to add a little bit of ragi. So try to swap it out. You'll definitely get a better nutrient profile and taste profile as well. The third thing which I was talking about are Szechuan noodles. Okay. Plan something exciting every week. Okay, it could be a 10-minute exciting meal, it could be a 30-minute exciting meal. But let's be real, we all have food cravings, we all feel like eating junk sometimes. So don't think that you're only going to be eating salads the whole week. It's probably not going to work out. Okay, be a bit practical and think, okay, if I'm going to crave something, instead of making Maggie, I'm going to make, I don't know, some kind of rice noodles. I'm going to make pho, I'm going to make ramen. Try to make something that's exciting and different, so that you don't get bored of your house food quickly, and you also learn something new and try something new. So when you're doing your shopping list, spend 2 minutes on YouTube or spend 2 minutes on the internet looking for a new recipe that you haven't tried before, that you do want to try, so that when you go shopping you can buy that for yourself and have fun. And again, this is a tip to save money. When you're in the supermarket, don't buy anything you're not going to use for the next 7 days. Okay, don't every time you're going to pick up something, ask yourself, do I really want to eat this ASAP? Like in the next 3-4 days, am I going to eat this? If it's a no, let's chuck it out. Okay, save it for next week. And this is while cooking. I personally think if time is difficult for you, try to chop your vegetables either once a week or twice a week or thrice a week, depending on how much time you have. Okay, chop everything. You get these nice Borosil locked dabbas. You can chop it, put it in your fridge. Yes, it's good if you chop it fresh, but most of us don't have time to do it. So if time is a problem for you, chop in advance. If you live in a small family or you don't have a fussy family, definitely try to use the same meal 2 times. Like I was saying, it'll save you a lot of time. Like if you can eat the same lunch and dinner, or eat the same dinner and lunch the next day, at least one of the dishes, if you can make a little extra, it'll save you some time the next day, definitely, in terms of eating. So third thing is, I think this is a really, really smart way. If you're a non-vegetarian, definitely marinate your meats at least a day in advance. Put it in the fridge and wrap it nicely. It'll actually be super tender, and you'll save time when you're cooking because it's well marinated. It'll cook very quickly as well. So again, you can get creative with the spice mixes and make different cuisines. If you're marinating your meats differently, the entire dish will taste very different in the end. Okay. And definitely when your veggies come in, wrap everything, keep it nicely, because we do want it to last 7 days. So certain things like lemons, for example, if you wrap them in newspaper, they last a lot longer. So I would say freeze, wrap, prepare everything and keep it clean, so that you don't have to come, from work during the week and wash your vegetables. And it will take you realistically under 2 hours on a weekend, and you'll save around 5 to 6 hours during the week doing all of this. So when you're in the flow, just do everything, keep it ready, so that the rest of the week is a bit peaceful for you. Okay, wash and dry
Doc,
your greens.
just a quick question. Like you said, wrap your food, right? Just a quick question. Like, sorry to interrupt in between. You just said wrap your food, right? So, what do
Not
we
food,
wrap
wrap
it
your
with?
veggies.
Because
Wrap your
veggies, yeah.
veggies
So,
and fruits.
with what? Like, as in cling paper or newspaper? Because we want to really want to avoid usage of plastic. And when they say wrap, it's like a cling paper. So then I don't know, what do we wrap
You
it
can
with?
always wrap it with a wet cloth that's sustainable, reusable, and not plastic. So that shouldn't be an issue at all. You don't have to use paper or foil. You can just use a cloth and wrap it. It'll
Or
do the same thing.
newspaper, right?
Newspaper also works good. Wet cloth
Okay.
also works good. So you don't have to do that at all. Okay, even
Okay,
with your
got it.
greens, you
Yeah.
can wrap them, wash them, dry them, and wrap them. It'll save you a lot of time during the week. And
Got
this is something I think, if you're super lazy, like you're in the very super busy, then pre-cooking your dals will also save you some time. Like every alternate day, if you could pre-cook your dal and keep it, then it's just a matter of putting a tadka into it. So this is optional. If you have time, it's always nice to make it fresh, but if you don't, this will actually save you some time cooking your dal and keeping it ready, so you can just put a tadka and things for it later on, like your chana, rajma, things like this. Okay. And oops. So now's the part. I'm sure a lot of you have a lot of questions, because I've just pumped a lot of information on you right now. So we'd be happy to take questions. Please just put them in the chat, and I'm definitely going to pick out the ones I think would help most people, so that it's a useful question and answer session for everyone. Okay.
So I've been tracking the chat for questions, and you guys have a lot of really great questions. So I'm going to start with Gaurav's question. He said, what meals to eat through the day to keep us active throughout the day?
Okay, I think this is very general advice. So if you have a medical condition, please ignore this advice because you might need something else. But generally, we feel hungry because we don't eat food which actually fills us properly. So a way to actually do that is to add all the elements of a healthy meal into each meal. So what are the elements of a healthy meal? It's basically some source of carbohydrate like rice, roti, I don't know, whatever else you want to have, pasta, some element of vegetable. So yeah, definitely you need the vegetables. Then you need your protein. Your protein could be your dairy products. Your protein could be your dal. Your protein could be your non-veg. And you need to add a little bit of fat. It could be from your oil, ghee, butter, whatever suits you. If you're having a balanced meal, you will not feel hungry anytime during the day. If you're not eating enough or eating adequately, that's when you tend to feel most hungry. Okay.
So Nishita asks us, is there a loss of nutrients when food is reheated for the next meal?
There is a loss of nutrients. That's the downside of reheating. Ayurveda goes as far as to say you should never reheat, but I'm a little bit practical in the sense that I think it's better you eat a reheated meal than eat from outside or eat some junk food. So if you have time, please do prepare a fresh meal. But if you don't, then you should have something to fall back on, and that's where this could help you out.
So Lincia asks us what to eat when we crave for sugar, like quick snacks for when you crave for sugar.
Okay, firstly, you have to understand why you're craving sugar. Couple of us, I mean, a lot of people actually emotionally eat or eat from stress. That's when we tend to crave for sugar. Second reason we crave for sugar is that you actually haven't eaten enough in the last meal. Okay, so if you're actually eating good balanced meals, like what was the previous question about, feeling tired all the time. If you're eating balanced meals, ideally your cravings will be pretty low. And once in a while, you can definitely eat sugar, whether you want to have a dessert or you want to have cake or chocolate or whatever, it's fine. But on most days, I'd say try to go for dry fruit and fruit and try to eat proper meals so that the cravings don't come. Okay.
Doc, there
Okay,
was a
so
follow-up question to that as well. Like I had asked, there's sugar. Like I recently read read an article which says that calories in sugar and jaggery are same. Like, is it true?
They are the same, but the nutrient value is slightly different. Jaggery has more iron and micronutrients, a little bit more, but calorie-wise, they are the same. Honey, jaggery, sugar, it's all the same.
Okay, because my
so
dad is diabetic and I switched to jaggery tea, so I don't know whether it makes a difference or not.
Yeah, quantity still matters. Whatever it is, the quantity has to be the same.
okay, so thanks, Lincia. So
Thank
Ranjani says there are a lot of food trends and diets that claim to be healthy but are not sustainable. How do we understand that?
Firstly, I think you all need to definitely keep in mind that there's no one healthy diet. Okay. A healthy diet is a diet you can do for the rest of your life. So be a bit practical when you're meal prepping in the sense that if you're an Indian household who likes to eat Indian food, you can't expect to be eating European wraps and this and that and like it for a long time. Or if you're a person who doesn't like Indian food and you always want something exotic, doesn't make sense for you to eat only this. So I think the real takeaway is that you need to eat what you can see yourself eating for a long time. You need to eat what you actually enjoy eating, but add more vegetables, add more healthy elements into it so that you're actually meeting your nutritional requirements side by side. Okay.
So I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Diyar says, is it necessary to eat after 2 hours?
This is very subjective to your health conditions, but largely I would say no.
Okay. So Krunal asks us, how healthy are ready to eat meal products?
They're not great to be honest because they're usually flash frozen and things like that. So the thing is, if you can avoid it, please. If you have no choice, then I guess you have no choice. So
So Himanshu asks, supplements that you need apart from a proper diet plan.
no, you don't really need any supplements. Ideally your diet should be fine. Like if you should be able to meet your requirements unless you have a health condition.
So how do you plan your diet so that it's giving you all your nutrients?
Again, it has to have all the four magic elements I was talking about. You need a carbohydrate, you need to add some form of protein, some form of fiber, and some form of fat. And if you see, most typical Indian meals do have all those four elements. Just the ratios that matter that you need to look at. Instead of having a mountain of rice, have a smaller serving of rice and more vegetables and more dal, and you see you're meeting all your requirements.
So Aditya wants to understand options that can have more protein-centric foods in his diet and how to prep them quickly.
I would say if you're a vegetarian, then definitely dairy products would be good for you. And adding more dals will also give you to some extent more protein. If you're a non-vegetarian, definitely marinating your meats and adding it in a couple times a week will give you a lot of protein. So could be chicken, could be fish, whatever you like eating. Make sure you're marinating it so that you're actually saving time, and then cooking time will be under 10 to 15 minutes, especially if it's with fish. So yeah, that should.
So Rahul says he lives alone and has to cook daily, but he hates it, and he generally cooks only 3 to 4 dishes.
I feel you. Oh my gosh. Okay. But yeah, jokes aside, see, I think you need to start learning to cook more dishes. I know it's a bit intimidating, but there's lots of recipes for people living alone who can cook quickly. Look up some of those channels, find different cuisines that excite you. Or if you're like homegrown Indian food lover, then definitely find some traditional channel and just get the recipes. Once a week, learn one new recipe. I encourage you to try new things. That's the only way you're going to get better in the kitchen and save time as well.
And like you said, your tips about varying your grains and adding some spice mixes, those could help
Yeah,
you, right?
it can you can change the cuisine with the same amount of time if you just change your spice mixes and your grains.
And those help those of us with limited skills as well.
100%.
So Mayur asked 2 really great questions. He asked, how do you exercise portion control and how do you avoid stress eating?
Portion control is always one portion at a time. Sit down, take a portion at a time, finish it, and then go for the next portion. We often put an arbitrary portion on our plate, which is why we end up over or under eating. So to help with that, take one portion at a time. It'll definitely help you eat the right amount every time. About the stress eating, I'd say it's to do more with the stress than the food. Okay, so don't try to swap your stress eating, like instead of eating cake, I'll eat dry fruit. Then the next day you'll eat much more cake. This is something I've seen happen hundreds of times. So don't try to swap your stress eating. If you want to stress eat, you can stress eat, but make sure that you're eating one portion again. Understand that you're stress eating. Tell yourself, I know it's not going to solve my problem. Like remind yourself that, then eat it. It's fine. Just don't let it take over your life.
So Ruchal is asking, how do you decide that appropriate portion size?
Again, your body will do that for you if you give it the time. So if you take one portion at a time, your gut and brain actually have the time to communicate with each other and tell each other when to eat and when to stop. Okay, so there's a lot of hormones which interplay between the gut and the brain. I won't get too technical, but they will actually do their job if you let it, which is to eat slowly and take one portion at a time. Stop when you're around 80% full. You'll never have a problem with your health. Trust me on this.
So Rohit wants to know how to avoid eating sweets. So could you tell us a little bit about why we tend to crave sweets first of all?
See, we tend to crave sweets. Like I said before, if you're not eating enough, you will be craving sugar because your body wants glucose and energy. So make sure that you're eating proper meals. When you try to save on your meal to lose weight or you try to eat less, you'll end up eating more later and doing more damage than good. Okay. Secondly, sweets are not the problem. How much is the problem? If you're eating once or twice a week and you're eating one portion of sweets, nothing bad is going to happen unless you have a health issue. Okay. So understand that and make sure you're factoring it in. Again, when you're meal planning, be practical. Understand that at least once a week, you're going to want to eat a dessert or you're going to want to eat out. Factor that in so that it's not a wild card entry where, you're totally ravenously hungry, you don't have anything to eat, then you eat junk. Plan it and eat it so that you're actually happy while eating it, because when you're stress eating, you may as well eat it happily.
So we do have to wrap up soon, but one last question. What should I do if 2 people in my family or my household have like absolutely opposite tastes or health requirements?
Oh, that's a bit tricky, I'd say. See, I think it's really important to firstly encourage them to also be in the kitchen. I know this is a bit easier said than done, but encouraging people to actually take part in the kitchen is good for their health and mental health as well. So aside from that, I think again when you're meal planning, factor those things in and make sure that there's a bit of compromise between both parties so that both are kind of getting what they want, but also the other one is. So maybe you could do alternate days of things the other person likes, or you could encourage one of them if they're old enough to actually do some cooking in the kitchen for everyone else so that they know what effort goes into your meals.
So what if they have opposite health needs though? Like say someone is underweight and trying to gain weight and someone is overweight and trying to lose weight.
That's where your portions play a matter. So again, if you're having all the elements, you're having a sabji, you're having a dal, and then you're having rice or roti, with those portions, people with most health issues, depending, they can vary their portions that they're both meeting their nutritional requirements, even if they're the opposite. It's a bit trickier, but definitely doable. Okay. So I think I think I'm gonna wrap this up. I think we got a ton of questions, so I don't know if we were able to cover all.
We picked the ones that are most relevant to most people.
But yeah, I think I had a great time doing this. I'm really passionate about food, as you can see. But if you have any other doubts, you can contact us. These are basically our whatever ways you can reach out to us. um yeah, I think this wraps it up. I
We'll
think
share the tool that we showed it with Plum, and they'll share it to you on email.
so. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can basically use this. I'm going to give you this meal plan template. You can go home and do it tonight, or do it whenever you want, and I'm pretty sure it's going to help you to do it. And anything else, Ash?
Yeah, I would say go if you're on Instagram, go to her Deshwari's account.
Oh gosh.
Poorvi takes clients as a nutritionist, but even if she doesn't have space on her client list, her page is full of like recipes, tips, lots of different ways you can learn about the natural plants and herbs we have available to us in India, and what Ayurvedic systems tell us in like a day-to-day applicable way.
Thank you. And let me plug Aisha now that I'm here. But yeah, she's basically the whiz who helped make this template. She basically works with people who are like on the verge of a burnout in terms of work. And she really helps with time management and helping them kind of get everything done. Like if you have 24 hours in a day, she'll make it 40. So check out her website when you get the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this wraps up our session. Thanks so much, Sabha. You were so helpful during the
thank you,
session. I would have
Sabha.
freaked out without you. So
We got kicked out
No
of Zoom,
worries.
but
No worries, no worries. This was lovely. Both of you were amazing. I think this was a great session. Thank you everyone for joining us.